Hi everyone, this is Dr. Daniel Knowles and welcome to the Mile High webinar coming up August 21st to 23rd, 2015. We look forward to seeing you at the return of the chiropractor at hashtag MH3. If you have not registered yet, if you're living under a rock somewhere and have not done that, then go to www.milehighchiro.org and we look forward to seeing you there. I am super stoked to be here with one of our outstanding speakers, Mary Lucus Flannery. Welcome.
Hello, glad to be here.
I'm glad to have you here. Now you are just all over the chiropractic world. Number one, helping with Dean of Enrollment at Life West. Also, your new, soon to be launched podcast, ADIO Radio, which is,
Yep.
I'm psyched to hear about that. And your Art of Story project, which helps chiropractors so much. And this is one of the things that is going to be so beneficial to people at Mile High, is getting to know you and getting to hear what you have to share.
I can't wait to meet everyone. I think a lot of people I've met already, but there's lots of names and faces that I've heard many times but haven't seen the face in person, so I'm tickled.
Good. Now let's start off first. I'd like people to get to know you a little bit. How did you find your way into the chiropractic world?
Oh, I have an odd story. I have a degree in English literature. I have a very liberal arts kind of normal bent, and I happened to get engaged to this guy who was going to chiropractic school. So when he moved to Iowa, I moved to Iowa. And my first job out of college was working as, we were called admissions advisors. So you do like recruitment and counseling in enrollment at Palmer, Davenport back in the day.
Right.
And because of that, I ended up, traveling a ton, meeting, thousands of chiropractors and really just learning the chiropractic story from the inside out. As well as, of course, I became a chiropractic patient and was a huge fan of, well, I had no problems in my life, seeing that optimization was a real thing. And I was really resistant though, because I don't have a science background. And I was just like, this was my husband's thing. And I couldn't do science. And so I just fought it and fought it and fought it. And finally had this moment of, innate source connecting with an intelligence. And I'm like, oh, this is really a thing that I'm so passionate about. So it's weird, as I thought I was giving up my career aspirations to be a writer and a marketer and an editor and all this other stuff in order to be a chiropractor. And I went to chiropractic school and I went and practiced in Wisconsin, and then we moved back to Davenport and I practiced in Davenport. And eventually, of course, I got sucked back into chiropractic education back in the admissions and enrollment side, and I worked at Life University for 7 years, and now I've been at Life West for 3 years, so a little over 3 years. And what's really cool is I couldn't be as good at what I do without all of the having experienced chiropractic from the inside out, not just, because I at the time was married to a chiropractor, but, I did it. I did the education, I practiced, I experienced it, but also because I came from enrollment. And because that's just my natural gift. I mean, I'm naturally good at connecting to people and helping. I like to tell people I still practice chiropractic and I still work on subluxations every day, but the ones I'm working with are the upper cervical subluxations. So you got to help people sort out of their problems and get out of their own way so they can figure out, is chiropractic the right path for them? And if it is, the thing I'm always telling prospective students is, don't just be a chiropractor. Be an amazing, world-changing, absolutely inspired, loving what you do chiropractor. And if that's what you want, then there's a few specific paths that are likely to get you there. It's not just any path in chiropractic. So it's kind of my shtick, and it comes from deep inside of me. It's not, I don't do this because it's my job. It's my job because I do this. So there you go.
Wow, awesome. And that's who we want to have, out in the Colorado movement, is we want those amazing, fired up, world-changing
Absolutely.
chiropractors.
Yes.
So, and we want to inspire more of those. Now, tell us a little bit. You're doing this presentation on, and you do this lots of places,
Yeah.
the art of the story. What are most chiropractors, because a lot of chiropractors goes along with the territory, is doing a lot of public speaking, a lot of presenting, because you're in an educational position. What do most chiropractors miss from their presentations that you can help them with?
Well, I mean, when you think of that adage that every chiropractor's heard, which is just tell the story. And that can apply to a one-on-one with a patient. It can apply to your healthcare class. It could apply to speaking to a civic group or to the profession. But that's what we're told over and over, just tell the story. But when you think about the number of hours you put into your education initially and post-grad on your technique, or all the other things that go into your practice, how many hours have you put in on learning the art of storytelling? Because it is an art. There are specific things. You don't just, I mean, you can just make it up, and some people are slightly more gifted at it than others, but like there's technique here. It's not random, right?
Right.
So that's really what this whole project is about, is integrating story into anything we do as entrepreneurs. So it could be in our marketing, it can be in our communications, it can be in our presentations. But the big thing is that, and this makes sense to chiropractors, neurologically, we're hardwired to receive story in a completely different way than we receive other information. So like normally if we're given pieces of information, we're like, piece of information, our brain is doing this, right? It's like, where does this fit? Does it fit in this bucket, or no bucket, throw it away, right?
Right.
And every time we get a piece of information, we're doing that really, really fast. Now, when we hear a story, our brain does this. Right? Like it's a
Right.
totally different experience.
Right.
And you can sometimes reject stories, but like we're taught to suspend disbelief when we hear a story. When you go to a movie and say it's a science fiction movie, you're not like, magic isn't real, I hate this movie, I'm going to leave, right? Like you're okay with it, right? So it allows us to open up a part of our brain that's outside of our belief systems and the buckets we've created, and to be able to say, that makes sense, yet it doesn't fit into a bucket. I might need a new bucket, which is a totally different way of thinking than when we give people facts and information and we just keep hammering them with it. And they're just like, I don't know what to do with this, right? So storytelling is this like completely innate, completely neurologically beneficial way of communicating with people. And if chiropractors can integrate that into what we do, all of a sudden we have less of that thing that we experience when we're like, gosh, if only they knew what we know, they would make different choices, right? I mean, how many of
Right.
us say that about our patients? Like,
Totally.
oh, why don't, if only I could like brain meld with them, they would get this.
Right.
This is how we do that.
Right.
So
Totally.
we have to learn the skills of storytelling, and there's lots of little bits. Some of it's like just overarching, understanding the pieces of a story, because lots of people skip the pieces of a story or focus on the wrong parts of the pieces and miss the money parts of those pieces. And some of it is just doing the training and just starting to pay attention to it and think about it. There's different kinds of storytelling. So the conversations that we'll be having are about some of those things. Now in a short slot, we won't be able to do all of it, but normally we're able to take a couple really, actionable items in explaining the science, the technique of storytelling, and then you can immediately apply that as a practitioner to, I usually say, like, try it in your report of findings. Try using this in your healthcare class. Try using this when you're creating patient testimonials. Like, there's so many ways you can apply this. It's bananas.
Well, I always tell people, I tell this to my practice members, that, we're in the area of changing spines and minds,
Yes,
right? That's what it's
absolutely.
about. The six
Right.
inches between the ears and everything below
Right.
spines and minds. And, communication is such a huge part of that, and my friend Liam Schubel always says communication is a main ingredient of a successful chiropractor. So that's why I'm so excited for you to be there, to be able to share so people can better communicate, because you can't impact your community if people don't understand what you're telling them.
Right. If people are trying to sort your information into buckets that don't exist for them, no matter how smart you are or right you are, there you have this disconnect. You have a subluxation in communication. So
Right.
we're trying to sort those out. We are going to do an adjustment at the seminar to your capacity to communicate so that we can get flow again going in your
There you
ability
go.
to make things happen.
There
Yeah.
you go. And it's not every day that I get to speak to a chiropractic rock star, motorcycle riding, speaking star like you. And people are going to be really enthralled by what you have to share, because I've seen clips of you sharing other places. It's amazing. Now, why are you excited to be out in Colorado at Mile High?
Well, I mean, first of all, Colorado.
Yeah, you can't
I
go
mean,
wrong.
I do live in Northern California, so I live in a pretty great place, but I love, of course, heading out to Colorado. Now, if just someone can just bring me a motorcycle and let me take it for a ride, that would finish the whole trip for me. Just throwing it out there to the mile
I'll work
hilers.
on that. I'll work on that.
I have a new goal. I've now been to all 50 states, most of them multiple times, so my new goal is to ride a motorcycle in all 50 states. So
Wow.
anyway,
Have you done that in Colorado yet?
no, I have not.
Wow.
Love to,
Okay.
would love to.
Well, there you
But of
go.
course, I'm super excited to connect with your tribe. I mean, your tribe are my people. Absolutely, excited about chiropractic, looking for the possibility, and also looking to improve themselves. I think one of the things that has been most powerful in my life is I've had this I was less conscious of it early, but it's something I've identified. And one of my core values is personal growth, and that kind of personal growth that sometimes takes a little work, right? Like, sometimes we look around at people we know, like your best friend, and you look at their relationship, and you're like, that thing you're doing, it's not really healthy, but you don't have any way to really get them to see that thing that they can't see, right?
Right.
Unless they ask you, unless they're really in a state when they're like, what do you see about my life that I could shift that would make my life, work better?
Right.
So my goal in my life for probably the last, pretty hardcore for the last 5 to 10 years has been, what am I not seeing about myself that's holding me back? And I've had some amazing coaches and some amazing ways to access that, but I'm like, yeah, tell me the hard stuff. Because when you confront the hard stuff, the stuff you don't want to hear, and so maybe for some chiropractors, they're like, I don't have time for storytelling. I'm already a great communicator. And if that's the case, that's great. But I can tell you, every single person I've coached on this, including myself, has gone from wherever they are to a huge step ahead of where they were. So this is work for everyone. No matter how great you already are at this, I'm telling you, this is how we keep moving forward. I mean, top athletes, they still have coaches, right?
That's right. That's
Like,
right.
this is what we do. This is communication is one of our fundamental tools. Yeah, we have to deliver a precise, amazing adjustment. Yes, we have to like have all these other bits and pieces in our practice, but communication, like we spend as much, if not more time doing that all day long than we actually do adjusting.
Right.
So we've got to put time into it, and we have to have good coaching, and we have to be willing to say this is hard and it makes me uncomfortable, but also I'm going to do it because that's where it happens.
Well, hey, look at that. If you go back, storytelling, biblical times,
Yeah.
most of the Bible is stories to get a principle. This is a long-standing way of
Absolutely.
communicating and
How we
teaching is
know
that.
anything about who we are as human beings, right?
Right,
We don't
totally.
have the written tradition is way later than the oral tradition.
Exactly, exactly.
There's a reason that exists. There's a reason we know the oral tradition because it was memorable and replicable because it
Right.
was within storytelling.
Exactly, exactly. Well, I'm excited to have you come out for another reason I want to mention. Being that you were in Iowa, right, Palmer, and practiced in Wisconsin, you have a sense to a great degree, I'm sure, about this Midwest region of the United States not necessarily thriving in the chiropractic focused area.
Oh,
The non-allopathic subluxation conscious has not been this has not been the thriving place of that. It was in the past, right?
right.
Wisconsin was
Of
a
course.
huge home for that.
Yeah.
Obviously, Iowa was, Colorado was with the Spears Hospital, but it's time to, Mile High is bringing back a movement of people groundswelling that want to be world-changing, subluxation centered
Right.
practitioners teaching innate chiropractic, and you're going to help them teach innate chiropractic better.
Absolutely. It's what I call the amaze balls chiropractors. And that's what I tell the prospective students. I go, don't just have DC after your name. You got to go for amaze balls. And then we define amaze balls. But that's like the thing. I'm like, you don't want to go through your life just being a thing. You want to be the most amaze balls on fire, connected version of it you could imagine.
Totally. It's better to be an amazeballs chiropractor than a spaceballs chiropractor.
Absolutely. Nice. I like that one.
So, well, we look forward to seeing you there. How do people find you if they want to learn more about you?
Oh, sure. I have a website for the Art of Story Project. So it's theartofstoryproject.com. And you can sign up there for a newsletter, an e-newsletter that relatively regularly you get content from me. I travel a lot, so sometimes there's short dark spells, but just hang in there. There will be more content soon, and I blog there as well. So, and that's normally all information just about storytelling, like whatever inspiration I see, or a great article I read, or movie I see there, or TV show I see that I think is a great example of a certain kind of storytelling. I'm always just putting out those little bits and pieces. And then eventually, if people want to do some of the actual education, there are modules. I'm actually redoing the website right now, so it used to be a class where you had to take the class at a set time,
Right.
and now I'm kind of paying attention to what's going on in the online education forum and moving into a new version where you just pay for like a year's access and you do them all at your own pace. And
Excellent.
these are videos that walk you through how to do this stuff. But if you're not ready for that yet, no worries. Like come of course to Mile High and get it as part of that
Yeah, totally.
event.
Totally.
Yeah.
So we'll see you in Colorado. Everybody, will see you all who are watching this in Colorado, August 21st to 23rd, 2015. Register at www.milehighchiro.org. And if you're not a part of the Mile High Facebook group, go there and be part of the conversation there. Thank you for coming out to Colorado. I'm going to see what I can do to hook up a motorcycle for you.
That would be amazeballs.
That would be great. And thank you for being here. We'll see you then.
Great. Thanks, Danny.